how the people in Philippines.
Miss Mara, your instructor, you're gonna get suspended.
Even some Chinese podcast, they have especially if I had the choice of Chinese or Tagalog.
Miss Mara, saan po kayo nagtuturo?
I go in the college here in La Trinidad, that's different from Baguio City. They have started their site program, which made me interested because I can set and I only have 7 class. So I can so basically,
Kasi, through FEB, I feel like I can it's easier for me to focus.
from cover
Wait,
to cover.
thoughts? It's fast.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Kasi I have a friend who's studying for the board exam for med. We haven't met since pre-COVID dahil lang sa med school. So, since nag-start siya med school, we meet like once a year. That's ganong level. Kasi everyday ang quiz, tapos may natutulog sa klase, so they record the lectures kasi nga may duty rin sila. So, yun, sanay kayo sa 96 hours. Kasi,
I can't do that. I cannot do that. 36 hours. Go!
So, go Joshua, if you want to be a doctor.
Ikikip, naririnig kayo.
Okay.
Oh my. Pero,
Okay lang.
wala. the sky. I'm all done waiting for life to arrive. I'm gonna make today mine. This feeling of fire inside. Watch me reach the sun from the sky. I'm all done waiting for life to arrive. I'm gonna make today mine. Got this feeling of
Ayan po, game na po. 1, 2, 3. Live na po tayo. 1, 2, 3. Ayan. Hello, good afternoon po sa ating lahat, no? Ayan. Naririnig niyo po ba kami ng malinaw? Hello, naririnig niyo po ba kami ng malinaw? Ayan, tignan ko lang po kung naririnig. Naririnig po ba? Ayan, naririnig naman. So before we start, I would like to introduce our organization to everyone. ECHO is a LED youth organization founded in the Philippines by a group of individuals. With a common goal, the organization is aimed towards fostering a community with a sense of accountability and obligation by empowering and molding the youth through civic participation in its various projects and campaigns. The organization is built for these four pillars: youth. The youth is the succeeding generation that will overtake various roles and responsibility in the society. Thus, it is it is crucial for the next generation to be equipped with the necessary knowledge. Social awareness. The ever-changing world is constantly unideal to a certain extent. Thus, it is important for the upcoming generations to be aware of these realities. Accountability and obligation. Through this awareness, the youth is the upcoming generation may be already to answer the call to action. The make rational decisions, especially during times of uncertainty. Projects and campaigns, physical first, hand projects such as outreach, forums, online campaigns that are timely and centered towards the youth and their collective growth. Hello everyone, I am Ariel Yuri Idulian, your technical support for this event, and I'm with Joshua Steven Ko, also technical. Hi Joshua. Hello. Hello.
mga choppy internet.
Ayan.
Yeah.
So ayan po.
Yeah.
Go JB.
Good day, everyone. I am JB Quintin from Externals Committee, and I will be your co-moderator for today. Some friendly reminders before we formally start this webinar. A question and answer portion will be allotted after the talk. Kindly type your questions in the comment section below. E-certificates will be provided to those who will complete the post-evaluation after the seminar. It will be posted in our private Facebook group to those who registered for this webinar. For any concerns regarding the e-certificates, kindly send us a message. To formally start this event, let me introduce to you the moderator of this webinar, the Vice President of Internal Affairs, Mr. Tyrone De Guzman.
Okay, so before we start anything, let us start with a prayer. So in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and Amen. Dear God, thank you for all the blessings you have bestowed upon us. We are truly grateful for them. Thank you for allowing us today to meet and share knowledge and time with one another in this seminar. May you extend your divine wisdom to our speaker so that she would be able to impart effectively her God-given knowledge to all of us. May she be blessed as she continues to bring her expertise to people who need them. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So, good afternoon and welcome everyone. In these trying times, remember that you are not alone. The new COVID-19 pandemic detached us from our traditional life, consequently causing children and adults to dread the new normal and health crisis. How equipped are we to face the overwhelming feelings of anxiety, and how do we nurture our mental health during a time of fear and uncertainty? Our sanguine youth is a fortress, the unknowns don't scare me. I am unshakable, and so are you. Echo Philippines presents its first webinar series entitled Promoting Positive Mental Health for the Youth in the New Normal. Good afternoon and welcome again. In light of this, it is my privilege and honor to introduce our distinguished guest and speaker, licensed psychologist and psychometrician, cum laude in both Bachelor and Master of Science in Psychology, college instructor and teacher. Please welcome Ms. Myro G. Gahid.
Hi everyone. Good afternoon and thank you for that ano ba? Overwhelming introduction. So, I actually do not know if you can see everybody in the screen right now. I'm also tuning into Facebook, but the format of our screen is that Tyrone is in the center. So, yeah, ayun. Okay lang. So, ayan,
Okay.
nakikita niyo naman ako sa taas. So, I'd be starting with sharing my screen so that we get on with this discussion, and I'm anticipating you guys. Kung pwede ko lang kayong i-shoutout isa-isa. There are currently 90 plus, 90 viewers, and welcome to our show. Welcome to the first webinar of Echo Philippines, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to impart, as mentioned, my knowledge in terms of psychology. So, kung naririnig nyo kami ng chikahan kanina or before the show, ayun, sana may napulot kayong maganda. We'll have another round of chikahan later after this discussion. And here. So, when Yuri mentioned to me that there is a topic regarding, what do you call this? A talk regarding positive mental health for the youth, I was on board already. What gave me encouragement was the youth as a target audience, and we had a small discussion, Yuri and I, that I would change the title of positive mental health. But when I was working on the presentation, I found out that it was okay to use the title because I had to have a foundation of where my topic was or where my topic is going to be anchored to. So I will do my best to speak in English because I have seen that a few friends of ours are not Filipinos and they might not understand Tagalog. So shout out to my friends who are watching, foreign friends. So thank you for your support. And so we begin. Anong ganap? So this in English is what happens or what's happening. Anong ganap? I just want to ask, I would just translate this to English. Gusto ko malaman kung bakit ka nagkaroon ng interes sa pakikinig sa talakayan na ito. I just want to know what made you interested to listen to this discussion. If you would want to comment or share your answers, please do that in the comment section. I'm also reading your comments live via my phone. So let's have a few moments or a minute probably to wait for your answers and to check kung kamusta kayo, how are you guys, and what are the reasons or what is your reason for being here, besides probably the certificate, I hope so. What made this topic interesting for you? So I'll give a moment or two to wait for your answers in the comment section. And feel free to ask questions. Our moderators would address those to me later. I was joking the group a while ago before we started this live event that I would encourage you guys to ask questions during this discussion and even leave a little time after the discussion, because after that, your questions would have a price tag already, antagonize her. It will cost something. Just kidding. So shout out to Miss Elizabeth Custodio. She mentioned to be more aware about mental health because that's the issue nowadays. And yes, we acknowledge that mental health is really an issue that we ought to talk about, not just because it's the trend or it's trending, it's cool, it's hip, you know. It's it's an issue because it affects everybody. Okay. Agustin Tanangonan mentioned, my vocation covers as well reaching out to youth and preparing them to be morally and spiritually strong leaders. Thank you for being one of our mental health advocates. I'm not sure what your profession is, sir, but I would look forward to collaborate with you or to share my expertise with your students as well if I have an opportunity to do so. Ms. Lorraine Manuel said, madami po kasi nag-PM sa akin na nagsasuffer sila ng anxiety and sobrang stressed sila sa online class. I want to understand them and I want to help them cope with this new normal. So Ms. Lorraine mentioned that there are a lot of people who is sending her a message regarding stress and their anxiety, especially with the ongoing online classes. So there are a lot of things, especially for the youth who are enrolled right now, because everything is new. We do acknowledge that not everyone has the capacity to be a part of the online classes or online schooling, even online distance learning. So we acknowledge all situations here. We do not judge you. We are here to incorporate every possible comment that you have on our comment section. And so an activity, so I have two activities prepared for this session or for this event. This is the first one. Just to have something to reflect on while talking or while listening to this discussion or while we're having this discussion on a sheet of paper. List the emotions you have felt during the pandemic. You may want to include significant experiences or situations that made you feel these emotions, or you may also want to rank these emotions in terms of frequency. So emotions, I encourage you to name them, identify them. So if you'd want to use Google or Merriam-Webster's or whatever dictionary you trust for identifying your emotions, kindly do so. I'd also give you a few minutes to do that. So this activity aims to give you a little bit of grounding of how we can, how we can work on the topic of positive mental health. You will see in my discussion later why this activity is important. So if you are willing to share how you're feeling right now, you may want to post that in the comment section. However, I would understand if you do not want to share the list of emotions since you have felt during the pandemic. These are subjective and personal. Okay, we do not want to have fights or conflicts in the comment section. So we welcome all experiences as mentioned in all situations, but we acknowledge as well the privacy of our audience. So I'll give you a few moments to do that as well. If you'd like to have top 5 emotions, that would be good. If you want to be more elaborate, that's also well. So there's no correct or incorrect way of doing the activity. Okay, for those who are finished, kindly comment a thumbs up in the comment section just for me to know that there's someone who's listening to me and is actually doing the activity. So if you're finished doing the activity of writing your emotions that you frequently felt during the pandemic, please give me a hint by sending a thumbs up in the comment section. Even the moderators, if you would like to do the activity, that would be good. Okay, so I'm not yet seeing thumbs up. If I see one thumbs up, I'll proceed to the next slide. Okay, so I hope that these emotions or writing these emotions would make you reflect on what has happened to you during the pandemic and what has been happening to you in terms of your emotional and psychological health. Okay, so this might take too long if I wait for one of thumbs up. So, William James, a philosopher and also a psychologist, mentioned that we should act as if what you do makes a difference because it actually does. And for this organization, for ECHO Philippines, a youth organization, to have this kind of event that addresses mental health in this time and that targets the youth as an audience, you are making a difference. Imagine that we have right now, we are currently 90 plus viewers in the FB Live, and these 90 people, 90 listeners, have already probably listened to me talk and learned one thing. And even if that's a small thing, that's okay to us. And it is because of Echo Philippines. Without this event, they would not learn something. So everything that you do, everything that you say matters and makes a difference in the lives of other people if you do not find it meaningful to you or to the people in your social circle. So I listed a table of contents just for us to be house rules. So first is an introduction to mental health. Second is positive psychology. Basically, my discussion is anchored in positive psychology. I would explain later why I chose positive psychology. The third is the combination or the culmination of everything I discussed and applying it to the new normal. And of course, our favorite part, the last is the question and answer or the open forum. So, an introduction to mental health. I know that this is the clout or this is the fame or the trending topic right now. Mental health awareness, positivity, anxiety, depression, stress. You probably have attended a lot of webinars regarding mental health, but still seem to not understand what mental health is. So, just a brief introduction for especially for the non psychology audience or audience who are not in college or who's not taking psychology. So mental health, according to the World Health Organization, composes of four areas. The first is acknowledging your abilities, your skills, and your potentials. So for example, I acknowledge that I can speak about psychology. I acknowledge that I can discuss something related to psychology because I practice the profession. I am an instructor, I am a psychologist, I have prior experience. That is an acknowledgement of your abilities. So this is the point where you accept your individual differences, your subjective experience different from that of another person. So for example, I accept that I am not really capable of drawing, but I know how to write. The same way as another person says, I accept that I can draw, I am good at drawing, but I cannot necessarily write, or I do not enjoy writing. So this is acknowledgement of what makes you different, what makes you unique. These are your abilities. The next is coping skills. Coping skills is efficient or effective, especially in the context of stress. So stress is a response, your body's response to a change, a problem, a difficulty, and you have to have a good set of coping skills for you to manage stress. Okay, so the time right now or during the pandemic, there is an interchange of usage of terms between or among rather stress, anxiety, and depression. So I would answer all those questions later. But for coping skills, these are things that we do to manage our stress. And that our resources, emotional, mental resources, behavioral resources, and mental resources are enough to cope, are enough to solve the problems or the changes that we are encountering. So these are your coping skills. The third aspect or the third factor is being productive. So a person who has good mental health is productive. It doesn't matter what role you are placed in as a student, as a son, as a daughter, as a sibling, as a leader, as a youth member, or an organization member, as a community helper, as a volunteer. you are efficient in terms of your tasks and your responsibilities. And therefore, being productive, you contribute to the society, you contribute to your family, you contribute to your school, to your organization, to the non-curricular activities that you join. So all these things are aspects of your mental health. So we are debunking, or we are stressing that mental health does not just become an issue if there is diagnosis involved, if there is depression, if there is anxiety involved. Mental health is also good mental health, being a productive citizen of the country, being a productive student, being a responsible son or daughter, cousin, family member, or however role you have right now, or whatever role you have right now. So I have this framework of mental health aids. This is MH aids. So first, we become aware. Mental health requires you to become aware of your surroundings. Also, it requires you to become aware of yourself. Because without self-awareness, there will be no awareness of the other. When I am referring to the other, it is other people, things outside yourself, things that are external to your environment, external to your comfort zone. This is mental health awareness. And so, if you are aware that I mentioned earlier to the moderators that I take a break from social media because of the news, constant flow or constant stream of negative news, and I am aware that exposure or prolonged exposure to negative news would bring me anxiety, that is the first step. So, mental health awareness. The next is being a mental health advocate. Now that you are aware of yourself, what triggers you to feel negative emotions, what triggers you to feel good emotions, you become more vocal about it. So, for example, I tell my parents, I tell my siblings, I tell my friends what makes me feel uncomfortable. If they say something or we reach a topic that I'm not yet ready to talk about, or if I open a topic and they're not yet ready to talk about it, we become vocal about it, and we become more understanding about what is acceptable to other people, and we set boundaries, healthy boundaries. And so, as an advocate, you become vocal not just in your community or your society, but also in social media. Right now, social media becomes a platform for our advocacy, whether it is mental health you're advocating for, um, good governance, um, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, creativity, whatever your advocacy or personal project is, social media allows you to become an advocate of whatever thing that you're into, whatever interest that you would like to have, and also you become proactive about it. So I address action because you cannot be an advocate of anything really, whether that be mental health, whether that be entertainment, YouTube or TikTok or whatever app we have there, whether that be gaming, okay, especially the youth. I know that you have gaming as one of your coping mechanisms. So whether that be social media, you cannot be an advocate without giving action or giving effort into what you're advocating for. So, for example, it is more likely that you believe people whom you hear, whom you see, whom you watch talk about, walking their talk, um, talking about their advocacy wherever they go, whatever platform they have, even in the simple things that they do. They become proactive because there is so much passion, for example, or there is so much interest in them that they are just shouting, this is her advocacy or this is his advocacy. For example, I have friends who are really advocating for climate change. I have friends advocating for women empowerment. I have friends who are advocating for freedom of speech. I have friends who are advocates for human rights, for a lot of things really. And I view them as an advocate because their posts say it, they say it, we talk about it in chat, we talk about it in discussions in social media. And prior to the pandemic, we talk about it personally. That is what makes you an effective advocate. If you give effort, if you give time to it, if you become proactive about it. So now, positive psychology. So as mentioned, the introduction regarding mental health is just a briefer. If you would want to have an in-depth learning about mental health, there are a lot of resources online. Just make sure that your resources are credible. Okay. So for positive psychology, I would want to introduce this field of psychology because of the topic toxic positivity, and I would go to that later on. But I would want to introduce positive psychology as a scientific and evidence-based area of psychology that makes it or that is less talked about because what is highlighted is a negative part. Okay, so positive psychology is by Martin Seligman. So if you'd want to search his name, Martin Seligman, for psych students, he is also known for learned helplessness. So that's for another topic. Yeah. So positive psychology highlights the concept of flourishing. Flourishing is your optimal functioning. Okay. And this is a definition of positive psychology. You will see my discussion that I have a lot of citations. I do so because I would want my topic to have necessary evidence and necessary research-based foundation so that questions will be minimal. Okay. So definition is the study of conditions and processes that contribute to, as mentioned, the optimal functioning of people, groups, and institutions. Optimal functioning for me may not be optimal functioning for you. And so positive psychology highlights individuality, subjective experience of a person in terms of situation, emotion, thoughts, and behavior. Okay? It also focuses on positive experiences, psychological strengths, and positive communities in various contexts and applications. As you can see, this is a study in 2016, and it includes psychological strengths, as mentioned earlier, and positive communities. Therefore, in the context of positive psychology, you cannot remove a person from the environment or the situation or the context that he or she is currently in. Example, a student. You cannot isolate a student from a school. So, walang estudyante kung wala yung school. The same way that there is no school kung wala estudyante. I hope that you get what I mean, you know. There is no organization without members. The same way that there is no members if there is no organization. So it is in essence a give and take situation. It is a two-way arrow where one cannot exist without the other. But in positive psychology, we cannot remove the context of the community. So in terms of social media, hindi mo pwedeng tanggalin ang social media na yung user lang or si social media user lang ang aaralin mo. Kailangan mong aralin or you need to understand, you need for the Tagalog, you need to understand the context where he or she is coming from. Okay, so that is for positive psychology. Levels of positive psychology, okay, first is subjective. Okay, subjective is referring to your well-being. It is your health, psychological, mental health. This is when you try to weigh if you are still good in terms of the mental health scale, or are you deteriorating, or are you getting better? Are you in progress? Are you stagnant? It depends on your current situation. Next is individual. Subjective and individual in terms of positive psychology are not interchangeable because in terms of subjective, you are looking at yourself alone. Okay? In terms of individual, you are learning about what is a good person. Who is a good person, quote unquote. What makes or what consists an environment that allows a good person to exist. This is your individual. Okay? So looking at it in relation to the next factor or to the next level, a group. Okay? So subjective is my well-being, your well-being. Individual is who is a good person, what makes him or her a good person in relation to the third context, which is your group. Your group is now establishing communities and organizations that allows human potential to be maximized, to be optimal in terms of their function. Okay, so these are your levels of positive psychology. Now we go to 2.8. This is a theory proposed by Seligman. PERMA is an acronym rather, so we would discuss each letter as we go along. So P stands for positive emotions. Okay, positive emotions Emotions by SAMRI. SAMRI is South Australian Health and Mental Resource Institute. Okay, so there is no date in the reference while I was searching for it. Positive emotions would be a range. It is not just happiness. Positive emotions include the following: amusement, hope, interest, love, joy, compassion, gratitude, and pride. Okay? So it is not because you say that you are happy that that's positive. That's the only positive emotion in the world. No. Being hopeful, being grateful, feeling interest about your studies, feeling interest about what you're listening to right now. This is a positive emotion. Okay? And we also highlight Broden and Build Theory by Barbara Fredrickson. So Broden and Build Theory by Barbara Fredrickson highlights how positive emotions build physical, okay, intellectual, and social abilities. So when I feel happy, when I feel amused, for example, I am amused by everything related to psychology. I am interested in everything related to psychology. The same way as you may be interested in everything related to a game you're playing, or to your course, or to a favorite subject if you're in high school, or to a hobby of yours, gardening, um, painting, dancing, drawing, acting, or whatever you have there. These types of activities that elicits positive emotions builds physical, intellectual, and social abilities. And your experiences having these positive emotions allows you to make more connections to other people. So it is because I am interested in psychology that I also attract people who are interested in psychology, and we have good conversations. We have in-depth conversations that makes us both happy, makes both parties happy. So imagine a group of friends wanting to watch a movie prior to the pandemic, and you cannot decide what movie you do like to watch. You can sense that if you just go with one movie and a friend of yours is not really happy about it, is not really satisfied about it, everyone in the group loses interest. If you have noticed that, okay? Just an example. Or if you're going to eat, let's say, saan tayo kakain? Or we're going to eat kahit saan, and everybody says. And then one person decides and another person would not want to eat there because he or she just ate there yesterday, you can see the dissatisfaction in his or her face, most likely. And that is an experience that allows you to gauge what type of connection, what type of understanding do you have with your friends, do you have with your colleagues, your family members, your peers, or anybody in the community. Okay? So it also allows you to make more inclusive categories. When I say inclusive, for example, you're part of an international section. If you're familiar, there's block section and international section in college. So international classes would have people from different departments or different courses who are taking one subject. Okay, this would be if you're experiencing more positive emotions, you become welcoming to other people who are not necessarily in the same course as yours. So you become friendly, you initiate conversations, you build connections. In essence, you build a network of people. So these are the people who become friendly that everywhere they go in the school, someone knows them. Okay? It is because they elicit that interest, they elicit that friendliness, that emotion of, I want to be friends with him or her because he or she is accepting, he or she does not judge. So that is a part of Broden and Build theory. And also, positive emotions, when experienced, also lead to heightened levels of creativity. So this might be controversial to some, especially for artists, because some say that they have their best work if they're sad, if they're feeling lonely, if they're feeling alone. But some artists would say that when they're happy, there is a good theme in terms of their work. Or when you're in acting, when kailangan mo ng huhugutan, you need to have an experience where you get your what you call this creativity from. And if you haven't experienced positive emotions, you don't know how to portray happiness when you're acting or where you're in theater or when you're singing happy songs. The same way as you cannot write about happiness if you haven't experienced happiness, or you cannot draw happiness if you did not experience happiness. So that is Broaden and Build Theory by Barbara Fredrickson. The next in the PERMA theory is engagement. This is not engagement related to weddings or relationships. It is engagement because you allow yourself to experience, okay, your skills, your strengths, and attention towards a challenging task. This is the concept of flow by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. I hope I pronounce his or her name right. Okay, I don't know what's his or her nationality, but yeah. So the concept of flow is, if ever you have experienced this, if you're doing something that you're really, really interested in, and you forget about the time, you're so engrossed in that activity, it is challenging for you in a level that it arouses your interest and your happiness in doing that activity. And hindi mo na mamalayan, isang oras ka na palang nagsasagot ng sudoku, or isang oras ka na pala nagsusulat ng libro or ng essay or ng poetry, isang beses ka na palang, isang oras ka na palang nagdo-drawing, or like you've already spent half the day attending to your garden or mini garden, um, or you spend half the day practicing singing or dancing. This is flow, okay? And this is what we encourage in schools and in workplaces. Flow is experiencing that you can do something, but there is also a challenging part to it. And this challenging, or the gap between what you can do and the challenging task, makes you grow, makes you become stronger as a person, makes you experience a wider depth of emotion, and essentially makes you have a more contextualized experience. Next is relationships. So not just romantic relationships, these would refer to feeling loved, supported, and valued by other people. So it's not because everybody around you has a romantic partner, everybody around you has a boyfriend, has a girlfriend, or boyfriends and girlfriends, whatever you have there. And then ako na lang ang wala, sana all, ang may partner, sana all, may love, sana all, ganito. Kumakaway na naman ng December, ang lungkot ko, diba? So December is waving, I feel alone, I feel lonely. But relationships would also include your family members. They would include your friends, your peers, your classmates even, your organization, your community, if you're a part of a community group. These relationships would essentially let you identify that there is still a difference between having quality relationships and more relationships that have no meaning, okay, or that have less engagement, that have less exposure to positive emotions. So in deciding to maintain a relationship, I hope that you guys, as young as you are, and as young as heart as you are, would maintain relationships that would make you grow, that would make you achieve your potentials or your goals, that would make you improve your mental health, okay, or stabilize your mental health, not just because you have benefits, or not because they are popular, they are famous, or you can get something out of it, okay? Next, meaning. So as mentioned a while ago, relationships is closely intertwined to meaning. Why am I here? So as young as you are, you might have asked questions, what is my purpose in life? Why am I on earth? Why is 2020 doing this to me? What can I do to be productive during this time? I cannot meet my friends. I miss my friends already. I miss my family, if ever you're not in the same household as your family. Okay? Meaning is belonging to, enter, or serving something that we believe is greater than ourselves. So Seligman mentioned, the one who proposed positive psychology, that the feeling of belonging, the feeling that there is something greater than you, something that is bigger than yourself. So he did not identify what this something is, because he, or positive psychology, is encompassing. It accepts religion, it accepts spirituality. Okay, we do not judge your religion if you have a religion. We do not judge your spirituality if you have a relationship to the universe, to the God, to Allah, to Buddha, okay, or to indigenous beliefs, okay, to a sense that you're connected to something that is greater than your existence. Okay? And meaning is also relative to longevity, and life satisfaction. So once you have acknowledged that your life has meaning and that you have a purpose here, you become more proactive, you become more goal-oriented, and that your life satisfaction is increased because you're using your strengths towards something, accomplishing something, whether that be finishing your studies, working for your dream company, establishing your dream business, um, traveling the world. We hope so to do that after this pandemic. So you apply your signature strengths and virtues and essentially build something that is capable of connecting you to other people. Okay? The next is accomplishments. So in terms of accomplishments, these are achievements, mastery, or competence. Accomplishments are not just the ones that you can see displayed on cabinets, displayed as medals, displayed as trophies, as certificates, as plaques, as ribbons. Okay, accomplishment may be mastery in terms of dealing with people, social skills, communication skills, gardening, what do you call this? Creating something out of paper, origami, creating something out of um, plastic bags. So our clinical director, shout out Sir Georgian if you're watching, he started this plastic bag art. Okay, if you'd like to check his YouTube channel, you may, where he creates art using plastic bags. Okay, so this is an accomplishment. This is a mastery. You discover your own, and as much as possible, do not compare your mastery or competence to other people, because there is always one thing that you can do differently than other people. Even if you have idols, even if you have fans, if you have fans already, please remain humble. Okay. If you have fans, if you have followers, if you have subscribers in your YouTube channel, there is always one thing that you can do differently. What makes you unique? What makes you different from other people? And you can only do that. And you can only do that because it's you. Okay? I hope that makes sense, even though I rambled a little. So accomplishments by Seligman would be termed as I did it and I did it well. For example, I finished school and I finished school well. I finished a vocational course and I finished it well. Okay? I helped the household and I helped it well. I assisted my friend and I did it well. I gave my favorite things to my sibling and I did it well. Even these small things take time to realize that these things are essential for you to acknowledge as accomplishments. So I highlighted Grit by Angela Duckworth. I would ask the moderator to play a short video after I discuss lang what grit is. So grit is the persistence and the passion for long-term goals. For example, you have an idea to start a business. For example, you're a grade 8, grade 9 student, and you have this idea that you really want to start this business, and you see doing it after you finish college, or if you want to start it now, why not? Okay? But you do not know where to start. Grit is understanding that you have the perseverance and the passion for that long-term goal, that you need to go through schooling, you need to go through mentoring, you need to go through challenges to achieve that certain goal. Okay? So I would stop sharing my screen for a moment and I would let the moderator play the video of Grit by Angela Duckworth for us to watch and for you to have points for reflection before I discuss what's next.
When I was 27 years old, I left a very demanding job in management consulting for a job that was even more demanding, teaching. I went to teach 7th graders math in the New York City public schools. And like any teacher, I made quizzes and tests, I gave out homework assignments. When the work came back, I calculated grades. What struck me was that IQ was not the only difference between my best and my worst students. Some of my strongest performers did not have stratospheric IQ scores. Some of my smartest kids weren't doing so well. And that got me thinking. The kinds of things you need to learn in 7th grade math, sure, they're hard. Ratios, decimals, the area of a parallelogram. But these concepts are not impossible. And I was firmly convinced that every one of my students could learn the material if they worked hard and long enough. After several more years of teaching, I came to the conclusion that what we need in education is a much better understanding of students and learning from a motivational perspective, from a psychological perspective. In education, the one thing we know how to measure best is IQ. But what if doing well in school and in life depends on much more than your ability to learn quickly and easily? So I left the classroom and I went to graduate school to become a psychologist. I started studying kids and adults in all kinds of super challenging settings. And in every study, my question was, who is successful here and why? My research team and I went to West Point Military Academy. We tried to predict which cadets would stay in military training and which would drop out. We went to the National Spelling Bee and tried to predict which children would advance farthest in competition. We studied rookie teachers working in really tough neighborhoods, asking which teachers are still going to be here in teaching by the end of the school year. And of those, who will be the most effective at improving learning outcomes for their students? We partnered with private companies asking which of these salespeople is going to keep their jobs and who's going to earn the most money. In all those very different contexts, one characteristic emerged as a significant predictor of success. And it wasn't social intelligence, it wasn't good looks, physical health, and it wasn't IQ. It was grit. Grit is passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. Grit is having stamina. Grit is sticking with your future, day in, day out, not just for the week, not just for the month, but for years, and working really hard to make that future a reality. Grit is living life like it's a marathon, not a sprint. A few years ago, I started studying grit in the Chicago public schools. I asked thousands of high school juniors to take grit questionnaires, and then waited around more than a year to see who would graduate. Turns out that grittier kids were significantly more likely to graduate, even when I matched them on every characteristic I could measure, things like family income, standardized achievement test scores, even how safe kids felt when they were at school. So it's not just at West Point or the National Spelling Bee that grit matters, it's also in school, especially for kids at risk for dropping out. To me, the most shocking thing about grit is how little we know, how little science knows about building it. Every day, parents and teachers ask me, how do I build grit in kids? What do I do to teach kids a solid work ethic? How do I keep them motivated for the long run? The honest answer is, I don't know. What I do know is that talent doesn't make you gritty. Our data show very clearly that there are many talented individuals who simply do not follow through on their commitments. In fact, in our data, grit is usually unrelated or even inversely related to measures of talent. So far, the best idea I've heard about building grit in kids is something called growth mindset. This is an idea developed at Stanford University by Carol Dweck, and it is the belief that the ability to learn is not fixed, that it can change with your effort. Dr. Dweck has shown that when kids read and learn about the brain and how it changes and grows in response to challenge, they're much more likely to persevere when they fail because they don't believe that failure is a permanent condition. So growth mindset is a great idea for building grit, but we need more. And that's where I'm going to end my remarks, because that's where we are. That's the work that stands before us. We need to take our best ideas, our strongest intuitions, and we need to test them. We need to measure whether we've been successful, and we have to be willing to fail, to be wrong, to start over again with lessons learned. In other words, we need to be gritty about getting our kids grittier. Thank you.
Discuss about grit. So, Angela or Miss Angela is actually one of the leading psychologists in this field that researches on grit. Ito talaga yung ano niya, forte niya. And when I encountered her video years ago, I was very impressed about how she presented the idea, the concept that there is a name for this type of commitment, this type of passion, perseverance for something that you like to do, for something that you're dreaming, that you want to turn into reality, as she mentioned. And I would want everyone to have a reflection that what are you willing to have grit for? Or what dream of yours or what goal of yours are you willing enough to have or to develop grit for? Just a question, a point of reflection for you guys. Ano yung kaya mo, or what is a passion of yours? What is the, apologies for the dogs barking if you hear them. What is your passion or what is your interest that allows you or that makes you want to have grit? Okay? So, yun, if you want to reflect that or share that in the comment section, you might want to. So, we go to the next slide. So now we go to a topic that has been talked about, okay, in Facebook, in social media, of course, toxic positivity, okay. So for this one, just to check, ayan. So just for this one, toxic positivity has been an issue because there are a lot of people who are posting about, what do you call this? Be happy. You have a lot of things to be happy for. And happiness is key. Okay, happiness is number one. Okay, so toxic positivity, I would discuss this in the following slides. Wait. So the definition of toxic positivity, it is a concept that keeping positive and that keeping positive only is the right way to live one's life. This is just a recent study by Lukin 2019. So as you can see here, I highlighted and keeping positive only. Okay, so the concept of what do you call this? Toxic positivity is the legitimizing or not accepting the worries or the problems of people that are real regarding their health, their family, their friends, putting food on the table, job security, unemployment, which is a study just this year. Okay, the toxic positivity is inclined to dismissing, okay, sa hindi pagpapansin, the not recognizing that the emotions of other people are valid and natural, that their worries are real, that their worries are true, that what they're being afraid of, or that what makes them feel afraid and fearful are real problems that you may not experience, but they do experience it. Okay, so this is toxic positivity. And so, signs of toxic positivity, I got this from Quintero and Long. There's just noted, would be the following: hiding or masking your true feelings. As mentioned earlier, you believe that only happiness and only a positive emotion can highlight your experience. Okay, trying to just get on with it, quote unquote, by dismissing an emotion. Okay, I'm not feeling bad. No, I'm not feeling stressed. no, I'm not afraid. No, I'm not guilty. No, I'm not scared of the pandemic. Okay, everything will be just fine. Okay. Next is feeling guilty for what you're feeling. Okay. This is very important, and I would like to highlight this especially for people who have heightened feelings of anxiety and sadness, or prolonged feelings of anxiety and sadness, which is a red flag. Okay. Your feelings are natural, your feelings are valid. Okay? We cannot do anything about our feelings in terms of experiencing them, but we can do something about them in terms of what we do after we experience them. Okay, I would repeat that. Your feelings are natural, your feelings are valid. We cannot do anything about you experiencing your emotions, or experiencing your feelings, but we can do something about what you do after the experience of these emotions. Next would be minimizing other people's experience. For example, feel good quotes or statements. There is a lot of this in social media. I do not need to give you examples of this. You might have encountered them, you might have sent them without the intentions of actually hurting people, or you might have received them and felt lonelier and felt more anxious because of these feel good statements. You're trying to give perspective to other people instead of validating their emotional experience. So when a classmate of yours, for example, says that bro or friend, besh, sis, or however you call your friends, I cannot enroll this semester because we cannot afford it, and you just say na meron pa namang next sem eh, but there's still another semester to enroll. You're dismissing and invalidating the emotional experience of your classmate or your friend. You do not recognize that what your friend is facing is a problem for him or for her just because you're enrolled. Okay, so this is a sign of toxic positivity. And shaming others for expressing frustration. So there must be a limit or a boundary in terms of shaming other people for expressing their frustrations and emotions. As mentioned in a discussion with practitioners in the field recently, social media is becoming real or more real than our personal lives, and so people feel freer to express themselves, sometimes in all caps or in capital letters. They post long essays or long statements about how frustrated they feel and whatnot. And there would be someone who comments like, you just feel entitled, you feel privileged, you feel like this and that and that. And it becomes a string of negative comments. So this is a sign of toxic positivity. When we have toxic positivity, we tend to avoid unpleasant emotions. And it is natural for human beings to avoid unpleasant emotions. However, when it goes to the extreme, it makes the emotions bigger. So for example, you fear that you cannot enroll for the semester because of financial difficulty, and this fear is not addressed by your family, by your friends. You know, they just say, kaya mo yan, you can learn on your own, you have books at home, here are resources you can access, without the support of emotions, without recognition that I know it's difficult for you, what can I do to help you, this is how we do it in school, or this is how our online learning works, maybe making stories or giving stories about how your experiences are would help your friend feel less burdened. Okay, so emotions that are not expressed, emotions that are not recognized, and emotions that are avoided actually become bigger. And when they become bigger, they explode in your face because it's like filling up a bottle and the bottle breaks because there's too much pressure inside. And instead, you lose valuable information. You lose opportunities to learn. You lose opportunities to improve how you respond to the environment, not how you react. Reaction and response is different. So react is instant. Okay, snap of a finger, this is how I feel. Response is thinking through it. Okay, I feel bad, I feel angry, what do I do next? This is response. So once you do not acknowledge and you avoid your negative emotions, it may blow up in your face or someone else's face, and essentially, it might cause further damage than addressing them in the first place. Okay? So it's also brushing off things that bother you. It is what it is. I know you've heard this from a foreign president. It is what it is. Okay, not being political, but yeah, this is what they have stated in their signs of toxic positivity. But maintaining a level of like neutrality that is unsafe because you're neither feeling positive or nor negative. You're just here. Okay, I'm okay. I'm poker faced. It is what it is. Okay? You brush off things as if they're nothing. You're brushing off your emotions as if you do not feel them at the moment. Okay? And as mentioned earlier, when you do not address your emotions, when you do not recognize your emotions, they become bigger, they become heavier, essentially they blow up everywhere. Okay? And this would be expressed usually in anger. Okay? Or bursts, outbursts, or shouting, or breakdowns. Okay, there. So next, validation versus toxic positivity. So validation would look something or would be something like this. This is hard, it is difficult, you've done hard things before and I believe in you. And when we talk about validating statements and statements of hope, I hope that you do it sincerely. I hope that this is authentic, not just because you saw this in my slide today that you post about it without really believing in the context of where I'm coming from and where the person is coming from. It is beyond, you'll get over it. Just be positive. Good vibes only. Good vibes lang tayo dito. Or like you're playing a game or in a conversation, someone brings up a topic that is difficult to discuss or you consider a taboo, and you say stop being so negative, think happy thoughts, never give up, just be happy and see the good in everything. These are types of statements that actually reflect toxic positivity. Okay, so we have no control over what happened. If you have sent a message or if you have posted something similar, for example, you'll get over it, just be positive to your friend, to your family member. Okay, that's in the past. Right now, you are learning, okay, a skill of how to validate the emotions of other people, how to validate your own emotions by saying, I know that there's a lot that could go wrong, but what if it could go right? For example, enrolling a course that you really want to enroll in, but you're scared of the requirements, you're scared of the teachers, you're scared of the school, you're scared of the rules. You're going towards your goal, but you're going against it. If you're understanding or if you're getting what I mean, you know? You see the things, paano pag marami requirements? What if they give me 10 requirements a day? What if my teachers are all terror teachers? But you're not seeing the good side that what if after this course I can achieve the career that I want? Okay? So all vibes are welcome here. As mentioned in the first activity, if you have noticed that all emotions are accepted, all situations are accepted, all circumstances are accepted, and therefore that is an example of validation. Even though no one has mentioned a personal story in the comment section, I welcome your experience, I welcome your situation. If you have done the activity, thank you. Okay? And it's pretty normal to have some negativity in this situation. So during the pandemic, this is new for everybody. No one is considered an expert in pandemic. So nobody is enrolled in a course, bachelor or master's degree in pandemics. Okay, so no one is that old, and even that course is impossible to have. Okay, but we deal with whatever we can control and whatever we have. So it's probably pretty hard to be positive right now. I know. I'm putting out good energy into the world for you. Okay, this is having hope for that person you're talking to, having hope for yourself. That sometimes giving up is okay, but what is your ideal outcome? So for people who see, as mentioned by Angela earlier, life is a marathon. Similarly, education is a marathon. It is not a race. It is. It doesn't make you less of a learner. It doesn't make you less of what do you call this, a student. if you are delayed by one semester, by one school year, you're still a student. You're a student of life in essence. If that year of pause in the academic institution, in the academic sector, would allow you to hone your talent in drawing, to discover your potential in singing, in dancing, and acting, do you think that that 1 year was wasted? Might as well have another talent, another interest to discover. Okay? Next, it's never fun to feel like that. I understand it's never fun to feel sad, it's never fun to feel hopeless. Okay? We've been through that, different degrees, different contexts. But there is something you can do today to enjoy. And if by listening to this webinar you feel like you're enjoying, that's one thing that you have to be grateful for. I'm grateful for the 90 plus people who still listening to me talk and discuss positive psychology. I'm grateful for the moderators as a validation. And I know that it's probably really hard to see the good in the situation, but we'll make sense of it together. And this is why we are having these types of events, because you're brainstorming. My examples may reflect one of your situations or the situations of the audience, or something they encountered online, or something that they are experiencing. And together, as we formulate reflections, as we formulate insights, we learn from one another. Okay? So this is a post that went viral recently. This is by Dr. Jaime Zuckerman and posted by GMA. So avoiding toxic positivity includes ignoring. Okay, avoiding, ignoring, or stopping your emotions. As mentioned, it's like a bottle, okay, or a container that when it's full, it overflows. Okay, and it essentially bursts or it goes out of control. So listen and validate how other people feel. Essentially, you have to validate your feelings as well. So if you know that you are not prepared to listen to your friend's story because you yourself are feeling burdened, you still have to respect your friend's space. Okay, so address it by saying that thank you for trusting me with your story, but right now I'm also dealing with something difficult, and I hope that we get through this with doing things that we like, enjoying the things that we usually do. Okay? That's something that you can do politely and also with authenticity. Next is remember that your feelings are not mutually exclusive. So you can be sad about losing your job and be hopeful about finding a new job in the future. This might be difficult, especially for breadwinners of the family. We acknowledge that it is really, really difficult to find jobs right now, essentially if your skills are based on practical skills and not necessarily technical or virtual skills. But we're also seeing shifts in the industrial sector where they are creating and offering jobs that are more online based so that you can work from home instead of working in the actual office or in the actual site. Okay? Next is be realistic. So if you want to feel proactive, start with small steps. It's difficult to be consistent if you go from level 1 to level 10. So let's go from level 1, then level 2. You move to level 3. If you'd like to take a break, then move to level 4. Okay? Because skipping levels would make you feel burned out easily. And recognize and avoid toxic positivity messages. So usually toxic positivity are overly simple. It's as if it's everything under the sun. For example, choose happiness, positive vibes. Remember that there are names to emotions, and emotions may be positive and negative, and we endorse positive emotions, not just toxic positive. Okay? So another activity. So let's take a break from all the information I'm giving you. I know that it's quite an info overload for this discussion. But based on what you have listened to so far, and including the talk of Miss Angela Duckworth, what are the major realizations or lessons that you have learned during the pandemic? So you may use the same sheet of paper that you used earlier. You may also identify a value that you have discovered about yourself, a personal strength, your characteristic, okay, and something that you have applied maybe in your life during the pandemic. So I give you a few moments to do that. If you'd like to share in the comment section, feel free to do so. what is a lesson or what is a value, a strength or characteristic that you have learned during the pandemic? That without this pandemic, hindi mo siya ma-discover, hindi mo siya ma-realize. Without this pandemic, you would not discover or realize this value, this strength, or this characteristic. Moderators, you may also join. You may also comment your answers in the comment section. A few moments for that. Okay, so I gave this activity because now we are entering the chapter where we collate, where we put together the puzzle pieces into dealing with the new normal. So this discussion is based on different parts. So the first would be from PERMA theory. Okay, PERMA, I hope that you remember. PERMA theory is positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishment. So based on PERMA, these are things that you can do for positive emotions. I'll just put them in one go. So practicing gratitude, we have done that earlier in our prayer, in the way we spoke to you guys, in the way I express my gratitude to the viewers. So doing activities you enjoy, listening to uplifting music that you love, playing with your pets and for parents out there, playing with your children is a good way to feel positive emotions, exercising for others, or doing chores, household tasks, or gardening, plantito and plantita, fur moms and fur dads, okay, spending time with the people you really care about. This is based on positive emotions. Now we go to engagement. So to feel or to be more engaged, we learn mindfulness techniques. Mindfulness techniques would require you to be aware of what is happening around you, what is happening inside of you, what am I thinking right now, how am I feeling right now, where am I, what do I need to do. Okay, that is mindfulness. So for example, right now, I am aware that I am discussing engagement. I am aware that people are listening to me. I am aware that people are watching me, even though I cannot see them live. That is mindfulness. I am aware of my breathing. Okay? That I have an optimal level of anxiety at this moment. I can deliver my talk without feeling anxious. Okay? Next is being aware of how you use your time. Time management is very essential, especially for everybody. Yeah, for everybody who has work, who has tasks to do, who has online class. Okay, managing your time. How many hours would you allot for your school? How many hours would you allot for your family and your friends, your social life? How many hours would you allot for your me time? Do not forget to include in your routine or in your schedule me time. If me time for you is watching K-drama, is playing a game for 1 hour, for watching your favorite Netflix show, that is your me time. Okay? Also include taking part in activities that you really love and observe the happenings or the situations around you. And also identify that you have character strengths and character potential. So meaning, so in this stage of the pandemic, most of us have been used to online discussions, online conversations. I mentioned earlier to the moderators that techno stress is real. Okay, it's a term in psychology, specifically industrial psychology. Zoom fatigue. There has been research about Zoom fatigue, and so making new friends by joining groups in Facebook, in social media, via whatever support group you have there, would be very essential in addressing your personal meaning and asking questions to find out more about the people you like, not just romantically but personally. For example, your mentors or your juniors. Asking questions about them would establish a connection, would establish a relationship, and that would give you more meaning as you discover what are your differences, what are your similarities. Another possible way is to get in touch with people you haven't spoken to for a while. So you have seen here during the pandemic, people had more time to reconnect to their batchmates, okay, elementary, high school, college, even my parents. So I have seen them use Facebook, okay, to actually connect with their batchmates during elementary. And my parents are like, my dad is a senior citizen already, and he is constantly on Facebook because his batchmates found him on Facebook, and so they have this group chat, and it's exciting to hear him talk to his batchmates that he still remembers stories about how they grew up, what they did when they were in elementary, and yeah, so that's a part of getting in touch with people you haven't had the chance and opportunity and time to do so. And also maintaining the relationships, as mentioned, that nourish you and that help you grow. So in terms of meaning, become involved in a cause or organization that matters to you. If you are pro animals, pro plants, pro environment, pro nature, pro climate, pro mental health, pro life, um, what else? Pro financial literacy, um, pro entrepreneurship, whatever cause that you believe that you want to be a part of, find organizations that it would help you um, tackle your passion and your interests. Spend time with people you really care about. Review your strengths and think about how to apply them. So as mentioned by Angela a while ago in her TED Talk, the most talented people do not necessarily have the grittiest situations. Sometimes it's the grittiest people who achieve the goals or their personal goals, not the most talented ones. It is because probably they do not have enough interest, enough passion to enhance or to apply their skill or their talent. And if you know friends or if you have friends who are talented in your eyes or who have potential in an art or in a field that you really see them flourishing in that field, encourage them, because it takes one supporter for an artist to be born. It takes one supporter for a scientist to be born, for a practitioner, for a professional, for someone of importance and someone of meaning to be born and to be lived. And be authentic. So as young as you are, guys, let's remove the masks. Let's remove the pretensions. Let's remove the Sana Hall mentality. Let's remove the I want to be him, I want to be her. You do not want to be him or you do not want to be her. You want to be you. And being you is enough. Okay? I repeat that. You do not want and you do not need to be her. You do not want and you do not need to be him. You need to be you. And you want to be you because being you is enough. And in terms of accomplishments, set achievable goals. SMART would mean specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. I know that you've heard this in your research classes, but these also apply to personal goals, whatever goal you have there. Identify your strengths, as mentioned, that you have used in the past, where you succeeded, and how can these strengths help you now, especially during the pandemic. Okay? And celebrate your success, even if it's within yourself and with other people. Okay, just for an example, yesterday, my mom bought chocolate dessert. I still have it in the refrigerator, my portion. So I did not eat it yet because I would eat it after this talk because I accomplished something. That's an example, personal example for you guys to refer to. So even if it's small accomplishments, or listening to your favorite song after doing an assignment, or watching your favorite YouTuber or TikTok influencer after you do your classes or you watch your teacher discuss something. That's celebration of your success already. Going through the day or going through a difficult time, okay, celebrate it with yourself, and once you are used to celebrating it with yourself, it will overflow to others. People will see na anong bago sa'yo, kaya may ganun eh. What's new with you? Anong nakain mo? Or what have you eaten? feel like you're too bright today or something. And of course, it's challenging. It is not enough to stay in your comfort zone because what you want is always outside your comfort zone. I'm not sure how or where, who said that, but yeah, it's still stuck in my mind because it highlights everything. Whatever you want is outside the boundaries you have set yourself. And so expand your boundaries so that you can also expand your dreams and your goals. So challenge yourself. Okay? And based on recent researches, of course, according to American Psychological Association, using your signature strength. As I mentioned earlier, there's always one thing that you can do uniquely you and be uniquely you and that only you can do. Okay? This can help you buffer, manage, and overcome stressors, improve well-being, relationships, and to live a more fulfilling life. The acts of kindness, okay, exercise, would build engagement by performing acts beyond your daily routine. So, I believe that kindness is not necessarily a skill, but it is something you develop. So you cannot just be kind today and not kind tomorrow. Okay? It is a practice. A practice of kindness is starting with yourself. I am kind to myself because if I need to sleep, I will sleep. If I study and if I can no longer understand what I'm reading, I need to take a break. That is an act of kindness for yourself. And once you understand that you're capable of giving kindness to yourself, that is when you give kindness to other people. Okay? Next, gratitude. It's always highlighted in positive psychology. It is an emotional state where you recognize and appreciate whatever you have received in life. Sometimes people get stuck on the recognition part. Oh, I recognize that I have family. I recognize I have a house. I recognize I have my friends. I recognize I have internet connection. I recognize I have a phone. Okay? But you do not appreciate what you have. I appreciate my family. I appreciate my friends. I appreciate my gadgets. Okay? I appreciate the internet, the exploration or discovery of it. So we do not go or we do not stop at recognition. We go beyond it and appreciate what we have. A mirror concept called savoring is an effective strategy to create fuller and longer lasting positive emotions. So for savoring, this is the capacity to attend to and as mentioned appreciate and enhance your positive experience. Okay? So this is if coping is equivalent to stressors, savoring is equivalent to positive experiences. So these are the experiences when you've reached or when you hike 4 hours and you see the sunset or you see the sunrise. It is when you run 1 kilometer and you feel your body feeling or getting fit. Okay, this is savoring. Okay, pagnanamnam, parang ganun sa Tagalog. So according to research, positive psychological interventions in school and in clinical contexts are good, especially for students. Okay. These are mindfulness, strengths, hope, and gratitude. So we always highlight what makes you unique, what makes you an individual that is different from another person. And although not explicitly grateful, collectivists, especially our culture, practicing gratitude would give us a sense of fulfillment in terms of role obligation bilang panganay, firstborn, bilang bunso, lastborn, or middle child, and an increased sense of social harmony. And also PPIs for clinicians, such as a gratitude letter. So we do this by addressing our clients or telling our clients to write what are the things that you're grateful for, address them in a letter form, would increase subjective well-being and decrease depression. So if you feel lonely, if you feel sad, you might want to try this. Okay? Keep a collection of letters to yourself. Okay? What are you grateful for every day? If you do not want to have letters because you find it lengthy, have a gratitude diary. It's like bullet forms, or if you have a note app in your phone, okay? What are you grateful for today? It just might be a phrase, a word, a name, a place, an object, and you collect that. And essentially, you would have 365 days of things that you're grateful for. It's also possible that regularly reflecting on your well-being and emotions, as mentioned, recognition and acceptance of your emotions and those early childhood memories can contribute to positive experiences. So a quote from me, this is something I came up with recently. So today you may be the one asking for help, but tomorrow you may be the one somebody asks help from. And I hope that by giving this discussion, by hearing, by listening to me, that you find hope and that you're gratitude and that you're grateful, that you look forward to tomorrow because essentially you might be someone who can be of help to another person. And asking for help, I would discuss two areas, just a brief. This is a framework I used and I conceptualized recently. I I use the acronym HELP. So honesty, engagement, looking and being professional or consulting a professional. So honesty is acknowledging your thoughts and feelings, engaging is starting a conversation. The mere hi, hello, how are you would essentially be a start of a good conversation because asking genuinely or genuinely asking someone how are they feeling, how are they doing would start a conversation of acknowledging their feelings. Okay? So look, observe changes in yourself in terms of your mood, in terms of your weight, in terms of your patterns, sleeping patterns, eating habits, things that you enjoy. If hindi na talaga kaya, if you cannot take it anymore, consult a professional. And this timeline or this arrow is a continuous progress. Okay, sometimes we go to engage and then we go back to honesty. Sometimes we reach low, we go back to engage. Okay, so it's not necessarily a linear thing. It's a continuous progress, but I wanted to show it to you in a step-by-step form. So this is if you are asking for help. On the other hand, if you're the one being asked for help, honesty is acknowledging the person's emotions, empathizing, treat the person as your friend. So if you are friends with a person, you do not want him or her to feel bad about himself or herself. And so you are just there. Your presence is enough and sometimes words cannot be spoken or should not be said. So listen, just be present. Paminsan kailangan natin ng kausap. Sometimes you just need someone to vent to rant to, and someone to listen to. Not listening or not hearing to reply, but hearing to listen. Okay? Kasi madalas, oftentimes we read the chat so that we have something to reply. Sometimes it just happens that the person who sends you a message just needs someone to read the message. That's it. And being present would be, okay, thank you for trusting me with your story or with your concern. Do you want me to give you an advice or do you want me to listen? Okay? So asking permission from the person before you give advice is a big thing because you're also highlighting that he or she is capable of making decisions for himself. Okay? So hindi yung agad susugod ka sa pagbigay ng advice. Ask permission first. So do you want me to listen or do you want me to give advice? And if the person says, I just want you to listen, and then listen. However, there is a boundary. If you think that he or she can or may harm himself or other people, then you please seek a professional. Okay? And this essentially becomes compassion. This is a skill. This is something that we learn and something that we practice. Okay? We get through it through time and develop it through time and exposure to situations. So seeking professional help is okay. Please do not be afraid of psychologists, of psychometricians, of psychiatrists. We are here to help you and that help is available. Okay? And by the way, I'm a part of PsychStart, Psychological, Academic, and Art Services. Yes, in art services, and we offer free consultations every last Sunday of the month. Our next schedule is on August 30. If you feel like you're interested to undergo a consultation or if you have a friend you'd want to refer to, please check our Facebook, inquire via our Facebook page or contact us. We have limited slots available for our free consultations, so this is kind of on a free first come first serve basis. So it's an online consultation via chat, via call, or via video call, whatever consultation. And for my next slide, this is me asking for your help. So we need your help. I am currently the project organizer of the 100% Attitude Project. Renan, who referred me to ECHO Philippines, is also a part of this project, and we are looking for volunteers, for project partners, and for donors. So I just want to give you a brief background and to advertise our project as well. So this project is a passion project for me and our team. We aim to bridge mental health practitioners and Filipinos. Right now, our target beneficiaries are youth of indigenous groups here in the Cordillera, and we plan to expand nationwide. Okay, and we will do this with the help of local businesses. So we will serve as a marketing arm or the marketing handle of local businesses to promote their business, to promote their page, to promote their products, and their payment for our promotions would be used for the consultation fees of the youth in indigenous groups. Okay, so that is the 100% Attitude Project. For question clarifications and projects, events, you may send your message via LinkedIn or via my email. And thank you for listening. I would give back the floor to the moderators. And so I would stop my screen share so that I can see the moderators' faces and Facebook. So, hi guys.
Hello. So, thank you, Miss Myra, for that insightful talk regarding mental health. We hope that this talk would go a long way in not only educating people about the topic, but also managing their own mental health. So, now we proceed to the question and answer portion of the event. If ever you have any questions, you may drop it at the Facebook chat, which will be asked live by JB. Wait, nawawala yata si JB. Sorry.
Hindi po, nagpaalam po siya sa akin. So,
Ay,
okay. Ako po muna magbabasa ng comment, if ever. Kuya Tyrone? Hello po.
If for those who have questions, do send them via the comment section.
Met,
Thank you. Thank you for mentioning that the talk was comprehensive. I did my best, although I have many kwento and chika.
opo.
So, and that it's comprehensive. Thank you very much. Any questions from the moderators? Let's address questions from you guys. Baka nahihiya lang ang ating audience. You have questions for me? As I mentioned earlier, please ask questions because if you ask questions after this event, you need to pay me
May
for
bayad
consultation.
na.
May bayad na siya. Okay?
May
So,
bayad.
Yes,
just to engage you guys. So, any questions for me? Okay,
Miss,
Josh, please.
I actually have questions nga pala from the audience
Go.
when we made the form. So, first one is, what do you do if someone confesses to you that he or she is under depression?
Okay, if someone, depression is a sensitive topic, although it is outside this discussion, I would just want to highlight that depression is a common mental illness and depression is real, guys. So do not answer anybody who seems to be experiencing depression that it's all in your head, it's all in your mind, kulang ka lang sa dasal, nakakahiya ka. Depression is nothing like that, okay? So if someone you know or if a friend of yours approaches you and says, I think I have depression, you automatically suggest, okay, and refer them to a professional. For example, Yuri sends a message to Tyrone saying that, Tyrone, I think I have depression. So Tyrone says to Yuri, do you want me to help you look for a psychologist or a psychiatrist? We can work on it. Maybe there are free consultations, as mentioned earlier, for those who have financial difficulties, because we understand that accessing professionals in this time would be very expensive for some. So there are programs and clinics, free consultations. So please, take them seriously, even though they say ha 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 sa dulo, even if they say joke lang, okay? Even if they post like, I feel bad, what if I don't wake up tomorrow morning? Please see that as a red flag, okay, guys? So do not ever minimize anyone's emotions and refer them automatically to a professional. I hope I answered your question. Thank you.
So, I think Yuri has questions also.
Yes po,
Yuri.
from live po. Question niya
Okay.
is there a true na minsan family members natin yung nagiging toxic sa atin para hindi tayo maging positive sa buhay?
Yes. Ayan, I understand. I have gotten that question a lot, especially from the youth. We have to understand, it's a two-way process. Understanding is a two-way process. So the way your parents try to understand the youth is also the same way that you understand their generation. Okay? The youth right now is lucky to have an access to everything they like via the internet. They did not have such access. Not comparing the way you were brought up, your family style, or whatever, but you have to extend the understanding that your parents do not know the technological world or the technology world that you're currently living in. Hindi na gets you. Okay? So even I, in our family, as mentioned earlier, my mom and my dad are new to technology, Facebook, ganyan. We have to teach them how to like something, how to comment something, You have to
Yeah.
understand that your parents and your relatives are also the same, especially if there is a significant age gap. Now, if your family members are the ones who are toxic, it's very difficult to recommend something to do because I do not know the dynamic. It might be better if you seek help for a consultation just to get things in order. But for general precaution, communication is very important. Okay? Let's start the conversation by saying, I feel lonely. I feel bad. I feel sad. I feel angry. Okay? I've said this in our family as well. No? I feel bad today. I don't think that I can talk to you in the manner that you would want me to respond to.
Okay.
And they get it. Kasi alam nila na nasa kwarto na lang ako or something. So explain your feelings to them so that hindi sila nabibigla. They will not be surprised na, oh, bakit ito nagdadabog? Bakit siya ganito? Why is he stomping his foot? Why is he in his room all day? Okay? Explain your feelings and at the same time, ask them how they're feeling. Because it's not just, telling them na ganito ako, intindihin niyo ako, understand me, I'm like this, I'm like that. You also have to feel the same way. If your parents are not feeling well for a conversation, respect their space as well. It is your, what do you call this? It is your privilege that you have these types of webinars to attend to. For the next webinar series of ECHO, invite your parents. Okay?
Okay.
I recommend that to the audience before. Invite your parents. Tell them, Mom, Dad, we will watch something related to mental health. Ano mental health yan? What is mental health? Ano lang yan? Ganyan. Invite them to watch with you and then talk about it. Okay? That's a generic thing that I suggest to you. It's a bonding thing as well. So I
Yeah.
hope that helps.
Yes po.
Next question.
Next question.
Live? Any questions from the live or the comment section?
Yes po, ako po yung nagbabasa live.
Okay.
Yung question po sa live is, being okay or being
Yeah.
not okay, is it good po ba? Dapat ba lagi tayong okay? Or dapat ba minsan hindi rin tayo okay? Parang ganun po siguro yung question niya.
Yung question. I just want to differentiate, no? Being okay is different from being OA. Okay? So, okay, na you're stable, you can function, that's the key word. You know that you're okay if you can function well. In terms of your daily tasks, you can do this stuff, But sometimes some people have been too used to pretending that they become actors and actresses. Okay? Genuinely feeling bad or genuinely feeling sad, it's also okay. Emotions are a spectrum. You cannot just be always in the gray area. Sometimes it's too bad, sometimes it's too good. Na minsan ibang tao hindi nila naintindihan, bakit ang saya-saya mo ngayon? You cannot explain because it's you. Okay?
Yes.
Or
po.
why do you look so sad? I think that's a song, but yeah. Why do you look so sad? Anyways, why do you look so sad? They do not
Yeah.
understand because they do not feel it. So it's just subjective. And being okay is okay, but being not okay is also okay.
It's also
And acknowledging the difference of being okay and not being okay is the best possible option we have.
so we also have a question here. It's it was kind of answered na a while ago.
Okay.
What should I do if the non-stop news about COVID-19 is making me anxious?
I feel the same.
Social media.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I would want to have social media detox actually for like months, but I cannot because my jobs are online. So I give myself a break. What I do actually, I'm not sure if this will be entertaining for you guys, but I have this app where it's coloring by numbers. I know you find it childish, but I do it. I have Happy Color. Okay, I type it in the comment section. I downloaded an app introduced by my sister where I just color things there just to release stress about the
Stress,
news
yeah,
and global stuff. And I feel better after that. And I save the photos I colored. So, when I see my gallery and it's like, I colored this during this day, I colored this during this day. So, there, I find ways to, not advertising, I find ways to cope and to manage my stress in a way. So, if you think that deactivating your social media account is best for you at this moment, do it for yourself, not for other people.
Um, Difference among depression, anxiety, and stress. How can you tell that you have these?
Okay. First of all, I would answer the second question. Do not self-diagnose. Okay, I know that Google is your best friend, YouTube is your second best friend, but please do not self-diagnose. There has been a long discussion about the DAS. I know you've heard that, guys. Depression, anxiety, and stress scale, and that's why that question came up. Okay, stress is normal, your body's reaction, as mentioned, to a problem, a shift in environment, a change in situation. That is stress. Okay, you cannot avoid stress; it is inevitable. Okay, period. Next, anxiety. These are feelings of uncertainty. These are feelings of nervousness. This is your body's reaction to stress. So it's a chain. Okay, so stress is your body's reaction to change. Anxiety is your body's reaction to stress. Okay, this is okay if you have a normal level of anxiety. Example, in taking an exam, in doing a webinar like this, in online classes for recitation. I have a friend who's doing the wheel of recitation. Yeah, she does that, the wheel of recitation to choose someone to recite in class. I think that's more nerve wracking. Before the pandemic, I do the index card, so I shuffle the index cards, and yeah, that's anxiety. Okay, but if anxiety is overpowering you in your daily tasks and you cannot function, you overthink, you have nightmares, you have breakdowns or panic attacks, that's a different question. Next, depression would be having no sense of meaning in life. The things that you previously enjoyed, you do not enjoy anymore. So I both have personal and professional experience with depression and anxiety, so I know them quite well. So seek help. It's okay to ask for help, guys. Hindi kami nangangain ng tao. We do not bite. We do not eat people. So if you have questions, ask your local psychologist or psychiatrist. You may refer to your psychometrician friends as well. However, they cannot give counseling, okay, or therapy. Only psychologists and psychiatrists do. And just for differentiation, psychologists conduct therapy, while psychiatrists give therapy and medication. So as a psychologist, I am not a medical doctor, so I cannot give prescriptions. Okay, so do not ask for drugs and medication from me. Okay, from me. Next question, please.
What is the best way to handle problems to not burn out most of the time?
Burnout. I think the person who's asking that question is already experiencing burnout. It is because you only acknowledge burnout when it's there. Okay? So we go back to before the burnout. What was your stressor? What made you too stressed that you did not address, that it piled up until it became burnout. Okay? Because you do not anticipate the burnout. It doesn't happen snap of a finger. A burnout is a collective accumulation of stress related emotions and responses. So what stressed you in the first place that you did not recognize, that you did not acknowledge, naipon na siya, kaya ka na burnout. So, bago ka nagkaroon ng burnout, there must have been a stressor. And attacking the stressor in a healthy way, with your coping mechanisms and coping strategies would be better to avoid and not to reach burnout.
You have to acknowledge this.
Yes.
So, how do we promote positive mental health during this time of pandemic?
Fact check. Always fact check. And remember, not to scare you guys, but since you're in your youth and you're still young, you still do not have your college diploma. Just to give you a heads up, recruiters or some companies actually check Facebook accounts before they hire people. They really do. I have been a part of a recruitment team, and so I know this because I've done it. Okay, so we check Facebook profiles, we check Facebook accounts, we check what you post. Okay, so be careful with what you post and be realistic. Be you in whatever you post. Do not be pro mental health today, and just because of a negative statement towards mental health, you become anti mental health the following day. Okay, be consistent with your posts. If you think that you are pro mental health, be pro mental health in the right way and advocate it by being vocal about it. As I mentioned earlier, we cannot really act on it right now because of physical distancing, but we can act on it by speaking the truth, by sharing pages that speak the truth, by liking and following pages that inspire you and that give you motivation to do the things that you love. So I think that would be, yeah, my answer.
Yuri, do you have any more questions from the live?
So, ayun po, ma'am. Kasi some people daw, pag pumapasok sila na ngayong online class, nade-depress naman po sila sa pinapagawa. And some people naman po, syempre, we have pandemic, so parang medyo bumaba po yung economy, nawalan trabaho ang parents nila, hindi sila makapag-enroll. So parang how can they be positive, no, ma'am, sa pagiging ano daw po, sa kahit hindi sila naka-enroll ngayon and sa mga nag-online class ngayon na na-stress?
Okay, so I mentioned earlier that similar to what Angela's mentioned, life is a marathon the same way as. Oh, there's someone in the meeting. Okay, so I let the co-host do that. So hi, Mr. David. So life is a marathon similar to education. It is a marathon. Do not compare your progress to another person's progress. This is what happens. You see yourself as hindi ako naka-enroll versus someone na naka-enroll. If you put it in this context, meron talagang stress because, hala, wala akong magagawa kasi nga ganito, kasi ganyan. However, if you see it as, I'm a learner, he's a learner, iba lang kami ng method ngayon, ako offline ang learning ko, siya online ang learning ko. Still learners. Reframing your perspective about what type of learner are you and what role do you have in the society or in the community would also reframe your thoughts and your emotions. It would guide you to a better trajectory, seeing na I may have skipped one semester, I may skip one school year, okay, essentially with the economy and status of businesses right now, but it's not an excuse for me to feel good about myself because I can still learn other things. Okay, they might be learning from books. I'm learning from life. Okay, that's just another quote I thought of. They may be learning from books, but I'm learning from life. So, for example, if you're really into learning, you may ask your friends, can you send me a PDF copy or a soft copy of your references? I'll do advanced reading. Or if you have a lot of books you have hoarded pre-COVID, might as well read them now. Okay? And explore worlds that you haven't explored. So while your classmates or while your batchmates, quote unquote, are studying in online classes or being stressed in online classes, you're learning about something else. It's not an excuse for you to stop learning because learning is consistent. And the same way as for me, for personally, it's not an excuse for me that I have my license, I stopped learning. No, because psychology is evolving every day. And just like the pandemic, I became a clinical psychologist just before the pandemic, a month before the pandemic. And so, hello, clinical psychology online, diba? So it's
Yeah.
very different. It's non-traditional. And for those who are on online classes, I think communication is key. If you are willing to open up a conversation with your mentors or your teachers and instructors, you also have to understand the teachers are facing a different kind of stressor in terms of online. Right now, since I'm quite used to having webinars, even though I see your faces like this, it's okay for me. But for some teachers, they are feeding off on the energy of the students, on the reactions of the students. And if you guys choose to turn off your video, your teacher cannot grasp if he or she is doing well because wala siyang nakikitang emotions. And you know that we are social beings. We feed off connections, we feed off relationships. So as a respect to your teacher, do your best to help them become the teacher that you need, especially during this pandemic, because they also have their self-doubts. How can I deliver a lesson when I haven't even touched a laptop? For example, I haven't done Zoom meetings. I don't know what Zoom is. I don't know what Microsoft Teams is. I don't know how to click on my volume and connect whatever, di ba? So ibang stress yung sa kanila. Kung kayo nabuhay kayo na may laptop, may cellphone, may techie, and ganyan. Imagine mo na lang na you entered a period where nasanay ka sa paper, pen and paper, tas bilang sabihin nila, oh, wala nang pen and paper, you go online. How do I do that? I don't know that. What if, let's reverse the situation. Sanay kayo sa online, no? Sanay kayo sa Google, sanay kayo sa YouTube. What if your teacher say, go to the library and research? Public library, your actual physical library, and research. No online resources. What if that's what your teacher requires you to do? Imagine the stress. Now you understand where your teachers are coming from. They're put in a position where everything is online all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Okay? So just be mindful of how you respond to other people's experience. And for those who are experiencing online classes, good luck to you guys. Manage your time wisely. I know that it might sound cliche, but yes, it's a skill to be experienced via actual situations.
So, last few questions, Yuri.
Si JV po
Last
may
two questions?
question daw po siya. Go JV.
Hello po.
JV.
Hi, JV.
Hi, JV.
Ito po, galing po to sa isa sa mga comments sa Facebook Live.
Okay.
How do we provide a helping hand to someone who are stuck with learned helplessness?
I see.
What is the proper approach if we know that they are going to resort to negativity despite our non-stop encouragement?
Okay. So just for the information of everybody, because I mentioned Martin Seligman, that probably is a psych major. Learned helplessness is a context where you do not do anything because you're certain that there is nothing good that will come out of it. For example, you enroll in a subject, first time you fail, second time you fail, third time you fail. So you do not enroll for the fourth time because for the first 3 times you fail. So essentially, if I know this subject, I will fail. Even though there's a different teacher, there's a different structure, there's a different classmates, different set of whatever. There are different factors coming in. So to help someone who has learned helplessness, if it's possible to defer, I always say this, no? Let's make it, let's normalize referring to mental health professionals to the point na it's like talking to, oy, pumunta ka na ba sa gym? Have you gone to your psychologist or psychotherapist or psychiatrist? Let's normalize that, referral. But if you're not yet in that connection of actually referring, do not be tired of encouraging. As mentioned earlier, it only takes one person to support you and to believe in you to actually have a friend who's now a lawyer, who's now an engineer. Okay, so right now I'm encouraging this group of guys to be a lawyer, si Yuri, si Tyrone, to be an architect, to JB to be an engineer. Wala pa siyang specific, but you see, I remember, to Joshua to be a molecular biologist and essentially a doctor. You know, just one believer, just one supporter is essential. And imagine if that person only has you as his or her supporter, not giving the entire responsibility to you, but tingnan mo na lang kung gaano kalaki yung impact mo sa kanya or impact mo sa ibang tao. Because just by saying, ingat, just by saying, take care of yourself, don't forget to eat, alam mo yun, hindi mo siya bine-baby, but you're encouraging him na, uy, importante pala ako. I'm important to someone, and therefore, I should also see myself as important to me. Okay? But we all go through that times, and we need friends and family to support us along the way. I hope that answered the question. Next question. Last question.
Last question.
Yuri, you have a question ba?
Sige po. Ito po, question lang din po nung sa registration. Anger management techniques. Ano daw po
Okay.
yung anger management techniques?
Anger management. In the field of psychology, anger is an emotion, but it's an emotion that is tip of the iceberg. So anger yung expression niya, but there are other emotions underlying anger. So we still have to peel the layers. Is it anger based on fear? Is it anger based on loneliness? Is it anger based on anxiety? So it really depends. Anger management, siguro the first step is to observe what situations make you angry, who makes you angry, what makes you angry. Okay? Situation, object, or person, and ano yung intensity. And then probably keep track of those. If you have noticed na, oops, I'm encountering this situation, I back out a little because I will become angry, I don't like to be angry, and then do something else. Okay? So acknowledgement really of your emotions is a big one.
Yes po, tama.
I think there's one more question here pala. How do you help someone who keeps saying that everything is okay when it's obviously not?
Okay, how do you help someone who says that everything is okay when
When it's
obviously
not.
no? Okay.
Yeah.
This is where respect comes in. Respect in a sense that you acknowledge that this person is going through something. However, you also acknowledge that he or she is capable of deciding for himself or herself. So if there are no red flags that he or she might hurt himself or herself or hurt other people in the process of your conversation, give him or her space. Because sometimes in space, di ba, gaya ng pagbibigyan nyo ng space sa mga karelasyon nyo and your romantic relationships, I need space. It's not you, it's me. Whatever that cliche conversation means, okay? Give the person space to think about it. Because sometimes in silence, there becomes a eureka moment that, oh, okay, I'm feeling like I miss someone. I'm feeling like I'm angry at someone. I'm feeling like I want to hit someone. Or, give them space to acknowledge their emotions, and when they get back to you in a more clear state of mind, then you can talk about the emotion or the situation. So, there's something I want to address by Eva sa comment section. Paano po if hindi kayo close ng family? So what if you are not close with your family members and you feel like there's no one to talk to? Wala po bang ibang pwede mapagsabihan? Okay, how can I help myself? Thank you, Eva or Eva, for that question. The mere point that you posted your comment, that you posted your experience in the comment section, I'm thankful for that because it is acknowledging that you're strong enough to seek for help, that you're strong enough for advice, that you're strong enough for motivation. And so, if you think that there is nobody that is willing to help you, I would want to address you that you deserve help, you matter, that you are important, and that you are worthy of help. If everything is impossible for you right now, take it one day at a time. If today hindi mo sila kayang kausapin, maybe tomorrow. If hindi pa rin kaya tomorrow, maybe the next day. And prepare a speech, for example, or just a simple question, as mentioned, kamusta, or like telling your family members that I think I feel sad, or I feel sad. Directly addressing your emotion to your parents or to your siblings would also spark the interest na, oh, bakit bigla nagsasalita to? Bakit ganito yung conversation na? And they will also reflect that we haven't been talking too much. That's why, probably, yun yung nararamdaman niya. Kasi walang nag-uusap. Okay? So, I hope that that helps. If ever you have questions, do send me a message. I would want to talk to you if ever for the pre-consultation kung may available man slots. So, there, guys. Thank you for having me here.
Okay. So with that, we would like to call the friend that I mentioned a while ago that actually uh, the founder of this org. So David, yung nag-join kanina.
So, yeah, hello everyone. Una sa lahat, gusto ko lang magpasalamat sa lahat ng nanood today kasi itong webinar na to, pinaghirapan talaga ng buong team. I'm very thankful to everyone who gave this webinar a chance. And again, just to reiterate, first of all, we're very thankful to Ms. Myra and again to our co-hosts and everyone in the background also who made this possible. And just to reiterate again, I think what can get out this in essence is that we're never alone here. Are useful when you use it, diba? So kapag may concerns kayo or kapag may gusto kayong sabihin, huwag kayong mahiyang sabihin, diba? Para makatulong din tayong iba. And I think that's what we're about. We constantly try to to be an echo to people, diba? We can't be an echo if we're alone, diba? We have to be a team. So ay walang iwanan dapat. If there's anyone who needs help, who needs help, don't be shy to approach him, diba? And give your own personal opinions, right? So that's it. And looking forward to seeing you guys if ever we have another webinar or our future projects. And let's hope to support Miss Myra po and everyone. And hope you guys are doing well. Thank you very much.
Okay. So with that, we close this webinar. Again, thank you everyone, and that's it. Goodbye.